There is a quiet moment that happens at the breakfast table. You crack the shell. You watch the yolk spread. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a question appears that you don't say out loud. Is this helping me? Or slowly hurting me? Because you've heard both stories. Eggs are powerful. Eggs are dangerous. Cholesterol, heart health, energy, confusion. So you keep eating them, but with doubt. And after 50, doubt feels heavier than it used to. You start wondering if your body still knows how to handle the same foods you've eaten for years. You notice small changes, energy that isn't as steady, recovery that feels slower, and you ask yourself quietly, am I supporting my body or pushing it in the wrong direction? Let me be very clear with you. This uncertainty is not your fault. Nutrition advice has changed repeatedly, often without context for men over 50. Your body isn't confused. It's adapting. And eggs, especially 4 of them every day, send very specific signals inside your body. I'm Dr. Claire Monroe. My role here is to help you understand what those signals actually mean. Calmly, without fear, and without extremes. When men hear 4 eggs a day, the reaction is rarely neutral. There's usually a pause, a raised eyebrow, a quiet concern about cholesterol. Let me ask you something directly. Who taught you to fear eggs in the first place? And before that question creates tension, let me reassure you immediately. Your caution makes sense. Think of nutrition advice like traffic reports. Outdated reports still cause detours, even when the road has changed. Here's the first aha. Eggs are not a single signal. They're a bundle of signals. Protein, fat, cholesterol, micronutrients. Your body doesn't react to headlines. It reacts to patterns. This is not a failure. This is a signal. I want you to hear this carefully. For most men over 50, the question isn't, are eggs bad? The real question is how your body processes them now. Because metabolism changes with age, digestion shifts, hormone balance adapts. There is no black and white. Context matters. Think of your metabolism like a valve. When muscle mass is lower and activity is inconsistent, the valve narrows. That doesn't make eggs harmful. It makes context critical. Here's where confusion often begins. Dietary cholesterol is not the same as blood cholesterol. They are related, but they are not identical. For many men, eggs raise HDL, the protective cholesterol, more than LDL. But for some, especially with insulin resistance, the response can be different. What this means for you, your response matters more than general rules. I've had men tell me they felt steadier energy after adding eggs to breakfast. Others noticed heaviness when eggs replaced fiber-rich foods. Same food, different signal. Let me be direct. Eggs are dense. They demand digestion. They demand bile flow. They demand metabolic attention. If your system is rested, they support strength and satiety. If your system is stressed, they can feel like a load. Here's another how you eat eggs matters as much as eating them. Timing, what you eat them with, how active you are afterward, what this means for you. Eggs amplify your current metabolic state. This is not about perfection. It's about awareness. Before you judge eggs as good or bad, you need to understand what signal they send in your body today. That clarity is what we'll build next. Now let's talk about what actually changes inside your body when eggs become a daily habit. Here's the question most men don't consider. What system is responding first? Let me reassure you right away. Your body doesn't treat food as calories alone. Think of food like a signal wire. Each meal sends instructions, not just energy. Here's the first Eggs are one of the strongest signaling foods you can eat. They speak directly to muscle tissue, to hormone production, and to brain chemistry. This is not a failure. This is a signal. Protein from eggs is highly usable. Your body doesn't have to guess what to do with it. That matters more after 50. When muscle loss accelerates quietly, what this means for you. Eggs can support strength when muscle signals are fading. But protein never works in isolation. Let me be direct. Protein needs movement to complete the message. Think of it like traffic again. Fuel without traffic flow creates congestion. If you eat 4 eggs daily, but stay mostly inactive, the signal changes. Instead of muscle support, the message shifts toward storage. There is no black and white. Context matters. Here's another Eggs also influence satiety hormones. They tell your brain, you've had enough. For many men, this reduces snacking and stabilizes appetite. But if stress hormones are high, that signal can get overridden. One patient told me he felt full physically, but restless mentally. That wasn't hunger. That was stress noise. What this means for you: eggs can steady appetite, but they cannot override chronic stress. Let's talk about fats for a moment. Egg yolks contain fats. Your body uses to build hormones. Not instantly, gradually. Think of hormones like long-term construction projects. They need steady materials, not sudden surges. Eggs can contribute to that supply, especially when overall nutrition is balanced. But if sleep is poor, or inflammation is high, those materials don't get used efficiently. Here's the next food provides tools. Lifestyle decides how those tools are used. What this means for you: eggs support hormone balance only within a supportive routine. I want you to hear this clearly. If you expect one food to fix everything, you'll always be disappointed. But if you see eggs as one signal among many, they can be very useful. Useful, not magical. That perspective alone changes how your body responds. Your body isn't broken. Your strategy is. Let me ask you a grounded question. When you eat the same food every day, what do you think your body does with that signal? I want to reassure you immediately. Your body is not passive. It is constantly adapting. Think of your metabolism like a control room. Every repeated input trains the system. Not once. Over time. Here's the first Eating 4 eggs every day doesn't just add nutrients. It teaches your body what to prioritize. What this means for you: consistency trains direction, not just intake. Eggs send a strong protein signal. That signal speaks directly to muscle tissue. After 50, this matters more than most men realize. Muscle is not just about strength. It is a metabolic regulator. Think of muscle like a sponge. The more you have, the more glucose it absorbs calmly. When muscle mass declines, blood sugar control becomes louder. Egg protein can help slow that decline, but only if the signal is completed. Here's the reassurance. Protein alone is not the solution. Movement finishes the message. Think of it like plumbing. Protein turns on the faucet. Movement opens the drain. Without movement, pressure builds. What this means for you: eggs support muscle best when paired with daily activity. Now let's talk about cholesterol calmly. This is where fear usually enters. Let me be direct. Dietary cholesterol is a signal, not a sentence. For many men, eggs raise HDL more than LDL. HDL acts like cleanup crew. It clears excess cholesterol from circulation. But here's the context that matters. Insulin resistance changes the response. Think of insulin resistance like traffic congestion. When roads are clogged, even normal signals cause problems. In that state, eggs can amplify an already strained system. This is not a failure. This is a signal. What this means for you: your metabolic state determines how eggs affect cholesterol. I want you to hear this clearly. If waist size is increasing, sleep is poor, and energy crashes are common, the issue is not eggs alone. It's the environment they enter. Now let's talk about satiety. Eggs are one of the most filling foods available. They speak directly to appetite hormones. They tell your brain, you are nourished. For many men, this reduces grazing and late morning cravings. That's a benefit. But here's the satiety works best in a calm nervous system. If stress is high, the brain ignores fullness signals. One man told me he ate a heavy breakfast and still felt restless. That wasn't hunger. That was cortisol. What this means for you: eggs can stabilize appetite, but they cannot override chronic stress. Now let's address hormones carefully. Egg yolks contain cholesterol. used as raw material for hormone production, not as a boost, as maintenance. Think of hormones like long-term construction. They need steady supply, not spikes. Eggs can contribute to that supply when overall nutrition is balanced. But if sleep is inconsistent or inflammation is high, those materials don't get used efficiently. There is no black and white. Context matters. Here's another aha. Eggs amplify whatever system is dominant. If recovery is good, they support strength and steadiness. If recovery is poor, they can feel heavy and draining. What this means for you. Eggs reflect your current state more than they change it. Now let's talk about digestion. For eggs every day require bile flow. They require liver coordination. For most men, this is not a problem. But if digestion feels slow, or heaviness appears afterward, that is information, not a warning. Information. Think of digestion like a gate again. When timing is right, food passes smoothly. When timing is off, even good food causes discomfort. What this means for you. How eggs feel matters more than theories. Let me be direct again. How you eat eggs may matter more than eating them. Eating them with fiber changes the absorption curve. Eating them alone creates a sharper signal. Eating them before movement versus before sitting changes how they're used. Here's the aha. Timing trains metabolism. What this means for you. Eggs eaten into movement support energy better than eggs eaten into stillness. I've seen this pattern clearly. One man ate 4 eggs daily and felt steady for years. Another did the same and felt sluggish. The difference was not the eggs. It was sleep, stress, and activity. This is not about perfection. It's about alignment. Now, let's bring this into a simple framework. Eggs are not a cure. They're a tool. Tools work best in the right hands, at the right time. If you eat 4 eggs every day, your body adapts. It may build muscle more easily. It may feel fuller longer. It may stabilize energy, or it may signal overload. If recovery is lacking, what this means for you. Eggs magnify your current lifestyle patterns. This is why self-observation matters. Notice energy 2 hours later. Notice digestion. Notice appetite. Not with fear, with curiosity. Confidence is a safety signal, not willpower. When you remove fear from food, your body responds more intelligently. And finally, here's the most important, no single food defines your health. Patterns do. Eggs can be part of a strong pattern, or they can expose a weak one. That awareness is what gives you control. Choose one habit to start tonight. Comment the number. Before we move toward the end, I want to slow this down with you again, because when nutrition is discussed this deeply, it can quietly turn into self-pressure. Let me be direct. This is not about being strict. It's about being honest with your body. Food choices after 50 are no longer just about discipline. They're about feedback. I want you to think about your last week, how you slept, how tense you felt during the day, how often you rushed meals. Those factors matter more than most men are ever told. Stress changes digestion. Poor sleep changes metabolism. Tension changes appetite signals. What this means for you. Your lifestyle shapes how food behaves inside you. I've seen men blame eggs, meat, or fat when the real issue is exhaustion. One man told me he stopped forcing healthy foods, focused on rest, and suddenly digestion improved. That wasn't luck. That was alignment. You're not behind. You're learning how your body communicates now. And that communication becomes more important with age, not less. There's no need to rush conclusions. No need to label foods as enemies. Clarity grows from calm observation, and calm is where trust rebuilds. If this helped you see food differently, stay connected here. Subscribe to this channel for calm, evidence-based guidance, designed specifically for men over 50. This is a space where your body is explained, not judged. I also want you to think of one man over 50, just one, someone who eats the same foods every day, but quietly wonders if they're still right for him. Share this video with him, not to persuade, just to offer clarity instead of fear. Because confusion around food creates more harm than food itself ever could. Let me be direct one last time. Health after 50 is not about extremes. It's about context, patterns, and paying attention without panic. In the next video, we'll talk about what really happens to your body when you eat 4 eggs every day over time, and how to recognize whether that pattern is supporting you or asking for adjustment. Clarity leads to confidence, and confidence allows your body to work with you, not against you.